Hello and welcome to Jill Cameron Creations. Thanks so much for joining me today. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. Today we're going to do a fun way to use a background stamp, and we're going to do some Copic coloring. I'm going to be using two Altenew stamp sets. One is Pattern Play Diamonds and the other one is Paint a Flower Anemone. Say that 5 times fast. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually stamp this background. I'm using a Stamparatus here, and I'm going to stamp this on white, Neenah Solar White cardstock. It didn't want to come out of my mouth, sorry. And I am using Maker Forte's Eclipse black ink. It is so super dark. I love it. I love their ink. It is amazing, amazing, amazing. And it doesn't smear at all. Dries instantly. Love it. One application. One. Look at that. It's perfect. I love it. Amazing. Okay. So I'm going to clean my stamp off real quick and set that aside and get that out of the way. That's one thing that I love about the Stamparatus is that the door can come off of it, so I can lay everything down flat and I don't have to worry about whether or not I'm going to crack my door or not. So we're coloring this in a rainbow order. So I'm using a ton of Copic markers because I'm coloring this in rainbow order. For my reds, I am doing R59, R39, R29, R27, and R24. And I'm literally just coloring in teeny tiny little sections. I'm not worried about flicking. And then I'm going to go to the next color and I'm just blending them together. That's it. That's all I'm doing. I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm literally, hi Daisy, you know she can't help it but come by and join us at least once a video. Now another way that I could have done this was to actually color the panel first and just do lines of color and blend them all the way down and have that rainbow effect and stamp over top of it from my Copic markers or my ink blending, whichever I wanted to do. However, I wanted the color to be specific in each diamond and I wanted to alternate the colors in between. So like where the next row of diamonds is kind of halfway up the top row of diamonds, I wanted that one to be orange. So that's why I chose to do it this way. And like I said, a simpler method would be to actually color the panel first and stamp over top of it. But you can do this with different background dyes, patterns or flowers or anything like that. You can stamp a background dye and you can stamp a background stamp in some Copic Safe marker and do this. You can also do this with, let's say, watercolor if you wanted to, and stamp it on watercolor paper. And I would recommend heat embossing it in clear embossing powder or gold emboss, whatever color you wanted to do, and watercolor in those areas, and that would be fun too. I might actually do that a little bit later. And just a lot of different ways to get more use out of your background stamps instead of them just being a pattern in your background, as actually to fill them in. This particular stamp comes with stamps to fill them in, so if you wanted to do it with ink you could and just stamp your colors all the way down. I wanted to do something a little bit different and Copic color and have that variation within each diamond from darkest to lightest there. I will have all of the colors that I used listed below in the description and over on my blog. And I'm going to play just a little bit of music while I finish coloring this up. This actually took me about 45 minutes to color the entire thing. And I stopped and refilled a marker and changed a nib out as well. And that's why there's red ink on my hand there. But I'm just going to play a little bit of music while I finish this up. And then I will come back and we'll finish out this card. And we have our finished panel, and I'm going to stamp a floral element from that Anemone stamp set, and I'm just going to stamp it in black ink, and I'm not going to color it. It's going to be just simple black and white, done. And we're going to actually adhere this to the top corner of our card. Now, I don't have a die set to go with this. I'm not even sure that they make a die to go with this. So I'm going to use my pigskin mat and my silhouette to do that. I have a video and a tutorial over on my blog of how to use the pigskin mat to cut out stamped images if that's not something that you're familiar with. But the simple process is you stamp this on your cardstock, you put it on a pigskin mat, you take a picture of it, you upload it to your software, and you outline it and do your offset on it, and then send it to the cutting machine. It reads the marks on the mat to tell it where exactly the stamped image is, and then it cuts it out beautifully. And some people have great luck with it and some people don't. Thankfully, I have mine pretty much down to a science at this point, and it's really easy and really correct. The cutting lines and stuff on it are correct almost all the time. Hi Daisy. So we're going to put this in our silhouette and we're going to cut it out, and then I'm just going to use a little bit of a spatula to pop this up off of our mat. My apologies. Daisy wanted lap time with mom, so she decided to voice her opinion about that. So I have a cat in my lap now. So anyway, pop this up and go ahead and pull this off of my mat using a spatula just to get under all of the little edges there, and put my cover back on my mat so it doesn't get covered in cat hair, since I just put new sticky stuff on it. Popped out any little areas that needed to be cut, and now I'm deciding where I'm going to place this. And I decided I'm going to do this in the top right hand corner there, and I'm just going to glue that down flat. And my sentiment is going to be from that same stamp set, and I'm just going to black heat emboss that on some white cardstock and pop that up. To finish this card off, I took a bunch, and I mean a bunch, of little silver backed clear jewels, and I'm going to glue those down on all of the little round areas on the background there, just to give it a little bit of shine and pop. And that's it, because we want to live in the moment, and this was just one of those fun little cards. I'm going to trim this out with my paper trimmer for our sentiment here, and I said I used black embossing powder, but I didn't. I used black pigment ink and clear embossing powder for this, and I had nowhere to put my markers, so they were all stacked up in front of me, and I had all of my paper sitting there in front of me. I'm trimming off just the edges of my card base there to make sure that it's all nice and even. Look at all that ink. Kind of like the back of it too. It's kind of unique looking. Glued that on the front of my card panel there, and then I'm going to glue the floral image on the top corner and trim that off using a pair of scissors, and just a straight edge scissor. It's a lot easier if you do overhang stuff on your cards. It's a lot easier to trim everything off once it's on the card base, because you have a little bit more stability behind it than if you do it just on the card panel itself. So just keep that in mind when you're trying to trim stuff off. Just make sure that it gets straight. Popped up the sentiment with a little bit of foam tape, and now I'm going to apply all the jewels. I have a jewel picker, and these are adhesive back jewels, but I picked all the adhesive off the back of them because I didn't want it to show, B, it's old adhesive and I didn't know how good it was, and they were all strung together and I didn't feel like cutting them all apart, so I just pulled them off the adhesive, which took about 2 seconds. Put the dots of adhesive, and then I'm picking up each jewel with my jewel picker and plopping them down on that adhesive real quick. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Thank you so much for joining me today. Don't forget to head over to the blog and check out more information, and all of the products are linked down below. I have a couple of digital stamps over on my Etsy store. The link is in the top bar of my website. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss a single video. Thanks so much. Y'all have an amazing day.